Welcome back to the Waterboyz podcast. This is episode 7. We have some exciting news. Obviously, as you can see, we're back in person.
Back in the studio.
A lot better than Zoom, eh?
Oh, yeah.
A lot better. I didn't hate Zoom, but it didn't feel like it does like this, does it?
Well, I got to wear pajama pants, which is a big change from my normal sweatpants. So.
I mean, come on now. You gotta live a little bit and put on the sweatpants.
Well, yeah, but I have these ones where a dog's carrying a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And I think there's some red trucks on there too. And they're super comfy.
Wow.
They're summer weight. So.
Business
Year
attire.
Round. But yeah, as promised, I would start off with some rugby chat, and here we are. It's Six Nations in under 6 minutes. So, obviously, a clubbing of the Celts in the Wales-Ireland matchup. Let's see, final score 29-7. Ireland took the ball wide, had great possession, and just rode that Welsh team all day. There were some line breaks in the defense that they got to work on, but Wales really shored up the post, and that's key to their success right there.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a question for this team. Coming in, were they expected to dominate this game as much as what they did?
Ireland? Yes, they were expected to win, but not by this margin. Welsh typically has a good defense, but they need better wingers, I'd say. That'd be their key to success and really shore up the edges. But on the U20 side, in the same matchup, Ireland and Wales, again, Ireland was expected to win, but Ireland beat Wales 53-3. Now, keep in mind, Justin, you score 5 points at a time in rugby.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty bad.
That was a tough loss. And then
was it just Wales didn't play as good as what they were supposed to?
Same thing on the men's side, as a senior side, I should say. They just didn't shore up the wings, and there were some big line breaks. On the men's side, Wales really shored up the posts, but in the U20 side, there were some breaks by a scrum half where it just went long. And you get those big phases, and it doesn't look good on the team. So it's a big defensive side for Wales, and that's their key to success going into their England and Scotland matchups. So my favorite game to watch this weekend was Scotland and England. You know it's going to be a good game when the commentators in the first 3 minutes apologize for colorful language. Rugby is a hooligan's game played by gentlemen, but this was just such a great matchup, and these gentlemen got furious in the U20 side and in the senior side. In the senior side, Scotland upsets Wales 20-17. England. Pardon me. Yes. I got really excited.
2017. So
2017.
Close game, obviously. What was the key, in your opinion, for
set pieces?
Scotland?
Set pieces. They disrupted England's set pieces off the lineouts and the scrums, and that is England's key to success. That's where they have made their stay in the last 10 years. They've been in the 90s percentile on wins off scrums and lineouts since 2017. I want to say, which is just huge. To be able to get that success and carry it in, and then for Scotland to upset that, it's just like the national anthem. Proud King Edward's army was sent homeward to think again. So, that's Six Nations in under 6 minutes. Justin.
Good job.
NHL All-Star Weekend.
It was a mediocre weekend, I would say, for the All-Star event and as a whole. Something that I thought was really fun to watch was the breakaway challenge. That was highlighted by Trevor Zegras' blindfolded
in
goal.
The average Joe's jersey with the dodgeballs coming at him.
Yes.
Was he blindfolded?
I believe he wasn't blindfolded.
You think he could see?
I think he could see. I think that was I think that cloth was definitely a little thin.
I think he might have gotten some light from it, but I don't think.
You think he was just? I think he's a pure talent.
He was blindfolded.
But I don't think he was blindfolded, to be honest.
He was blindfolded in my eyes. Because
no way.
That's a professional hockey player who's been playing hockey since, probably since he was able to walk.
But how do you know where the net is?
He knows that You get that instinct, that muscle memory. He's practiced how many strides from red line to goal line?
True, but how do you know that it's... How do you know where the net is? That's just impossible for me to know where the net is. Like, as a soccer, like, if you're blindfolded, how do you know where you're shooting at a basketball net?
He's a basketball net.
Like
a basketball net compared to a hockey net. A basketball net can fit 2 basketballs. A hockey net can fit 2 people.
True, but I think I would just biffer wide into the boards or something if it was me blind. If it was truly blindfolded. And that's why I believe it was not blindfolded. It was he could see all day long.
That's a pro hockey player, though. So, moving on. But Claude Giroux. Or were you going back?
Just a little thing about the breakaway challenge. That was an amazing goal. Either way, if it's blindfolded or not. Yeah. But somehow he did not win that. And it's because Vegas fans chose Alex Pietrangelo to win. Which was kind of bullshit in my opinion because he literally just skated up the ice and just did like a little move in front of the net and scored. That was like nothing spectacular.
The tribute to Ovi was pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, Krell's, that was really cool to see. And then even he did like the hot stick like
like, classic.
Yeah, it was really funny to watch. Yeah. He did look like Ovi out there, little Ovi.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, just a little diet Ovechkin.
Yeah,
Ovechkin light.
You might be drinking diet Dr. Pepper instead of the real Dr. Pepper.
Exactly. There's some chubby cola.
Yeah.
And that's what we call a callback. Anyway, in the playing side of thing, Claude Giroux gets MVP.
Yeah.
Do you think that was deserved?
Tough to say. I think he had a good game. But good 2 games, sorry. I think the All-Star game was more just go up there and have fun now.
Exactly. It's just like the NFL All-Star.
Yeah, like it's not like you're taking it as serious as what I would say the NBA one is.
Yeah.
But I do think it was deserved, but I personally just don't really think that the MVP of that game is like something massive, if you get what I'm saying, because it's just for fun.
Yeah. He looked good out there, though. And for him, at his age, he's up there.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to go down as one of the greats. And I'd say
underrated.
Yeah,
for sure.
In Philadelphia, for sure. But underrated, in my eyes.
He always has been a little bit underrated.
He's living in the shadow of Crosby.
Yeah, because that rivalry between Pittsburgh and
that
Philadelphia.
Goes back years. The Battle of Pennsylvania is just a long, storied, and bloody battle.
Oh yeah, in the playoffs, whenever they match up, it's bloody. So yeah, I think he gets shadowed a lot by Crosby and the Penguins, but I still think he's well deserving of an MVP at an All-Star game, and I think he's a Hall of Fame player, in my opinion.
Yeah, don't quote me on this, but I think he's definitely had a couple too, MVPs in the All-Star.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think so.
Like I said, that's one thing I don't really that much care about when I'm judging a player's legacy, or how good they really are. Yeah. It's
I've always liked it because it's best of the best, right?
Yeah, All-Star. It's just you get out there and you play with some of the best players in the league, and it's just really fun to play. You
get some dream lineups, and it's definitely cool to see. But right now, Olympics are heating up a little bit. Yeah. We got Canada-U.S. tension in the medal race. Tied at 2 apiece.
Yeah, it's early, day 2 or 3, or maybe day 4 now. Yeah. But both countries are doing okay. I would say the U.S. and Canada definitely. I don't know about the U.S. but Canada's better at the winter games than the summer games for sure.
Oh yeah.
But the U.S. usually get off to a hot start, and they're not off to as hot of a start as what I would thought.
Yeah, I'd say
I think they would be.
This one and the last Winter Olympics, curling has been our hot streak.
You think?
Yeah, we had that dream team of curling 1 or 2 Olympics ago, and that was just awesome to see. It just looked like 4 Midwestern dads who just ended up at the Olympics.
Oh yeah, I remember that watching that team there. Yeah. They're it was the mustache and the beards going.
Yeah, but that's definitely one of my favorite to watch. Is just because it's some golf on ice.
Yeah, that Olympic team is pretty fun to watch. Canada's mixed double team is fun to watch too. I don't know if you caught any other games. Rachel Holman and Johnny Morris, or John Morris. Yeah. They're fun to watch, and it'll be interesting to see if they medal in this Olympics. It's a brand new sport, like mixed doubles instead of just regular 4-person curling. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what actually happens there.
Yeah, and it's kicked off the whole thing, but big news story out of the Olympics that just kind of broke on the social media world. A figure skating coach left his figure skater at the arena 2 hours away, gets back to the hotel, realized he accidentally took her credentials that she needed to get on the bus, took her phone as well, so she had no contact. He gets the text, you left so-and-so at the rink, right? And he was like, now I do. Goes back to the rink, gives her the credentials. They're scrambling to find her.
Which country is this again?
This is the U.S.
Oh, yeah. There we go. The U.S.
Yeah. But,
most organized country in the world.
Oh, we have never had a problem with organization. Politics, worldviews, athletics, we are dead on.
100% all the time, eh?
100% all the time, 100%. So, well, we do in the Olympics crush some basketball. And basketball news this weekend has heated up a little bit with James Harden.
Yeah, James Harden, trade rumors or reports have been coming out that he's frustrated with the Brooklyn Nets, not really as a whole, but in particular Kyrie Irving, who has said he's unvaccinated, won't get vaccinated, which is costing the Nets, and he's not allowed to play at home games, and sometimes he's missing games on purpose. Now, there are a couple destinations. The Rockets said they're interested in having James Harden come back someday, playing for the team again, even though he refused to play for him before. And then the 76ers also were going to take a run at him, but they're not willing to give up Ben Simmons in any trade, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
That's their franchise right there, Ben Simmons.
Well, I mean, he hasn't played this year, but...
Well, yeah, but he's still got some potential in him.
He's requested a trade and won't play for Philadelphia again, but it's weird that they won't include Ben Simmons in the trade just to get him out of there. But yeah,
everybody's got a price.
It would have to make sense for Brooklyn to maybe want to get Ben Simmons because they're really struggling as of late. They're on a 6-game losing streak. Last time I checked, and it's the longest active in the NBA right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to them over the next couple of weeks. If they start to fall down 7th, 8th in the conference, or if they try to rise back up. But another team that we mentioned last week that was hot continued their hot streak, and their starters are logging heavy minutes, and that is the Toronto Raptors. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They beat Miami in triple overtime about a week ago now. Then they went and beat Atlanta. Then they played Miami again.
Yeah, but Justin, you're still in 7th place.
Yeah, that's okay. But then you beat Chicago, number 1 in the conference, and then you beat Atlanta again. So
Toronto has some, I want to say, not so hot defense right now. Their leading rebounder is 23rd in the league.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But it's not it's not just one person rebounding. That's what you're not getting. Because that's fine. You can say he's 23rd, but there's 5 different rebounders averaging 7 rebounds a game. 6 or 7 rebounds a game. So it's a collective duty on the defensive end.
Obviously, but if they're that good defensively, they're getting outscored a little bit.
Oh yeah. What do you I don't think there's the biggest star on the team is, I would say, Fred VanVleet this year. Yeah. Which made the All-Star team, which is congratulations to him, going from undrafted, betting on himself, and now becoming an All-Star. That's really impressive. But I think the team overall is just coming together, and they're a lot better than what people think.
They're coming together, but they're coming together at 75%. But you know who's hot? You know who's hot? Chicago Bulls.
They're not hot. They just lost to us. They just lost.
Everybody has a bad day. Just like the Green Day song.
Okay.
Is that Green Day? So you had a bad day.
Yeah.
Anyway. that's a tough game, but Chicago leads the East.
Chicago's doing it. Yeah, they're doing it without Alex Caruso as well, which is plays a large number of minutes for him, like 27 a game.
Yeah. But DeRozan commands that team.
DeRozan's having an MVP type season for sure.
He is.
And I hope he gets in the MVP discussion, like around award season. But it'll be interesting because you see DeMar DeRozan has a little history behind him. There was never a time that he took the Toronto Raptors further than the Eastern Conference Finals. And the year that he gets traded for Kawhi Leonard, they go and win the finals. So he has not proven himself to me in the playoffs. And I don't think he can do it this year.
Well, he's a professional, and he learns from his mistakes. I'm sure he's in the film room. I'm sure that hurts.
His mistakes. He lost like 6 times. It was LeBron. What was the thing that they used to call Toronto? It was like it was an acronym for LeBron in Toronto because LeBron controlled Toronto. Basically. Yeah, it was something like Toronto. LeBron. I don't know or what it was, but
LeBron's hot almost anywhere, and we obviously talked about him in Cleveland. That situation that's going to be something we'll definitely follow. But
did you see mention about LeBron? He's willing to play wherever it takes to get with Bronny.
Yeah. And it sounds like he wants to retire in Cleveland.
It does, but it'll be interesting to see if it's just a one-day type thing.
Yeah.
Or if it will be like he actually plays a season there and retires. But from what my understanding is, he's going to play until Bronny's in the league, his son, for anyone wondering. And he's willing to go wherever he gets drafted if he can't be drafted to the Lakers.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, another athlete did not get his dream retirement, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Switching to the NFL here.
Yeah, that was kind of, I think he was forced into retiring type thing because all these reports came out. The NFL had even broke it that he was retired and he never even came out yet. So I think it was kind of more forced, which was it's a hot take, obviously. Like some people obviously think he wasn't.
I think even this discussion here is too much attention for it.
You think?
Tom Brady retired. Congrats to him on a great career.
That's because you're a Chiefs fan.
Well, yeah.
You're just happy he's out of the NFL.
No, because he's in the NFC now. It's just like,
it doesn't matter. What happened the last time, you matched up with them?
Yeah, whatever. But here's the deal. He's getting a lot of media attention for retiring. And this is a real hot take. He did great things to the league, but they are covering his retirement like he passed. And it is...
Because he's the greatest player to ever play the game of football. Who would you say is better than him?
Warren Moon. No. That's
a good question. If you're really going to say Tom
Brady... In the modern era, Tom Brady all the way.
No, who you're saying Tom Brady's not the best ever. So who is?
Who's that old Browns quarterback?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I didn't grow up in the 1970s or 60s.
Well, after I Google this, we'll decide if we leave this in the show or not.
I'm saying Tom Brady's the greatest player. It doesn't matter. He's
all time?
Yes. Right. It's not even up for debate. How does 7 Super Bowl rings? More than any other team in the league.
Tuck rule.
Tuck rule. No. He's the greatest. It's not up for debate.
Okay, we'll have a Tom Brady special.
No, I don't need a Tom Brady special. All I'm saying is they're treating it like they should. The greatest player of football to ever play the game is retired. So they're going to treat him in the highest manner ever. Like, they shouldn't even wait. This is my thing. They shouldn't even wait. He shouldn't have to wait his 5 years to get into the Pro Hall of Fame. They should just put him in the Hall of Fame next year. That's how good.
Obviously, he's going to get in. But
I'm just saying, that's how good he was. And you're here, saying it was like.
I'm not saying but I'm saying.
What? No. No, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And not even quarterback, the greatest player of all time, and maybe the greatest athlete of all time in every sport.
Baker Mayfield's so much better.
Oh my God.
Speaking of jewelry, though, Tom Brady has 7 of them. Who do you think's getting some hardware next week?
It's got to be Joey B and the Bengals. You know what? Here's a hot take, too. I'll give you this.
Let's hear it.
Joey B or the Bengals win a Super Bowl next week. Joe Burrow's a top 15 quarterback of all time already.
Already?
Yeah.
In what, year 2?
Mm-hmm.
Year 3?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
if he wins the Super Bowl.
The SEC has a lot of talent for him to come out of there, turn this team around,
bring
back Cincinnati's first in 30, 40 years?
It was the first playoff win in 31 years.
Yeah.
And first, Super Bowl appearance since 1988 or something like that.
Yeah, so 40-something, 36.
Something like that, 37 years or something like that.
Obviously, great quarterback, but that offensive line against Aaron Donald and Von Miller, who had a standout performance last week, Rams are coming up with it.
But here's the thing, I don't think it's about getting... I know the offensive line has to play great, but for me, it's about the receivers. How good can your receivers
Jamar Chase
play?
is great. Jamar Chase is great.
T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, how big can they step up? Because Jamar Chase is going to be double walking, just like he was against Kansas City.
Exactly.
So it's going to be, can T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and maybe your explosive back, Joe Mixon, step up and make the plays that are needed to carry the offense?
And, Bengals have a good defense, too. But Matthew Stafford is going to expose them. I think that deep bomb is coming in.
He's definitely going to throw it 4 50-yard bombs, and there are going to be 2 of them at least intercepted.
You think so?
I'm going to say 1, but you tell me how many you think we're getting intercepted.
At least I think he's going to get picked at least twice.
Yeah,
it's a gamble.
He literally just says, that meme, he'll just chuck it and say, F it, someone's going to be down there anyway.
But that's the modern era right now. It's just some bombs. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson when he decides to throw bombs, Joe Burrow bombs.
You know what will also be a factor, I think, with this Super Bowl? Last week, it was last week, the NFC Championship, the LA Rams hosted, but it didn't seem like they hosted.
That was not a home game.
So it will be interesting to see how many Bengal fans travel to SoFi.
The Super Bowl is barely ever a home game for any team, though.
Yeah,
because
you're home. This is the second year in a row that someone's home.
Tickets have been sold out since what? December?
Probably
November?
somewhere around there.
Nobody knew
who was going.
So it's going to look like the draft party there. You're going to have a jersey from every team in that stadium.
Yeah.
It's going to be home field advantage. It's not going to be home stadium advantage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It
never will be.
And it's been that way with LA forever.
Yeah.
But
they don't have the following that they used to have in the 70s when they were in LA.
But anyway, we appreciate this segment of the show, and
we'll get to Logan Rempel here of Holland College men's basketball team. He's had a pretty good season. The team has too. 8-0.
55% from 3-point land out there.
The cannon.
Yeah, he's a sharpshooter for sure. But anyways, we hope you enjoy, and thank you.
Welcome back to the Waterboyz podcast. We have Logan Rempel joining us from Holland College basketball from Grand Prairie, Alberta. A little sharpshooter, a little hot this year.
Something like that.
Good to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
So, tell us about the season so far. 8-0?
Yeah,
how's it feeling?
It feels great. We've come out pretty hot. Expectations are always high at Holland. We're one of the best teams in the Atlantic every year, so kind of come out with that target on our back every year. But especially after the COVID year, nobody really knew what to expect, and a lot of guys hadn't been on court for a year and a half. But to be able to come together and put together an 8-0 record feels incredible, really.
Good on you.
So your team's obviously gelling. What's been the key for you guys this year? Off a COVID year.
Yeah, off we have so much experience from all over the place, I guess. Like, you know, guys coming in either from Nova Scotia, guys coming in from Ontario. I'm from Alberta. We got a guy from BC, guys from the States, the Bahamas. It's a lot of different experiences, and everyone respects each other and wants to learn from each other. So like most teams may have like one or two prominent leaders, but I feel like our team, it just kind of depends on the day. Like a lot of different guys will step up and say something at the right time, and everyone is able to listen to that, and we kind of build off that.
Yeah, so you got some good team chemistry this year. You guys are obviously hot, like I said. But let's rewind it back. When did you start playing basketball?
I started really playing basketball in grade 7. It was kind of just like at my junior high, I was like, I'm just going to try out for every sport, you know, just kind of see where life takes me. I grew up playing soccer, and I was like, I'll play badminton, I'll play basketball, and I don't know why, but I fell in love with it.
The Swiss Army knife of athletics.
Pretty much, yeah.
There you go. So, go ahead.
Sorry, did you, like, was there like an A team, B team? Because at my junior high school, there was like an A team, B team. So, was it like you tried out for the A team that first year that you wanted to play basketball, or?
Yeah, I tried out for the A team, made the B team. I was pretty awful. I was kind of a shorter, kind of chubby kid, and then even in 8th grade, I made the B team as well. Like I was kind of like a late bloomer, I guess, to all this, but like I was pretty awful.
Did you have a favorite sport growing up? Was it always basketball?
It was soccer for sure. I probably played soccer till I was about 14, from like age probably 4 or 5.
What position?
I was actually a goalie.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I grew up a little heavier. Times I was just the least amount of running.
Yeah, there you go.
So I see you're wearing the Bulls jacket, so
yeah.
I'm guessing there was a little inspiration, maybe a player or two that drew you to basketball, or when you started playing basketball, you drew your attention to?
As like a younger kid, I guess, like in Alberta, it was always just like the biggest star, I guess. So it was LeBron at that point, so it had nothing to do with the Bulls, but yeah, like my favorite player was LeBron early, but I don't know why basketball kind of drew my attention. I think the first basketball game I ever watched was the 2006 Miami Heat final.
Oh, really?
With like Shaq and Dwayne Wade, but I wasn't even playing basketball at that point. I was like, oh, what's this? The NBA Finals, let's watch it.
Yeah, they were called what, the Three Musketeers back then?
Something like that, yeah.
Just an absolute great era of basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just some great stars coming out of there. So, you go to high school in Grand Prairie, little hometown, you know, stuck around there. How did high school go for you?
High school was good. I had the privilege to make the senior team in my 10th grade year, and I didn't really play a lot. I think my averages, I probably averaged 2 points per game, and I was just kind of I was probably 6 feet tall, and at that point, my life has kind of gone in waves of like skinny, fat. At that point, I was a stick. I couldn't do a single push-up in 10th grade, and it was just like I could shoot the ball a little bit. And then from there, grade 11, like that 10th grade year in the summer, I just spent probably like 8 to 10 hours in the gym every day at our rec center. It was just like I'd go there in the morning and just shoot all day and then leave at night and just do that every day. It's probably why I was so skinny. I didn't really eat a lot. I just went there and shot every day. I didn't know like what training was or any of that. So from grade 10 to 11, I think I went from averaging 2 points to 16 between the 2 years, and then all of a sudden there was talk about maybe looking to college and all this, and I was I never thought about this at all. Like, I don't know how this works, you know?
Yeah, so is that where you developed, your field goal percentage and your shooting percentages back in high school?
Yeah, 100%. And my coach, I love my high school coach. He's a super fundamental coach. He's been the high school coach there for, it's like 28 or 29 years now at my high school. So he's a lot like old school fundamental. So, if I came down and shot an early 3 or something, I'd hear about it. So I think that developed me like trying to learn to take better shots and stuff, and I'm definitely like still plays into like my shooting percentages today, I guess.
Yeah, and you recently got the chance to go back and play there before it got torn down, your old high school gym, right?
Yeah, so they had an alumni tournament this year, and I hadn't been home in over a year. I was kind of stuck out here, and with COVID and everything, I just didn't have the chance to go home, and they pushed classes online in January, and I knew my alumni tournament was that weekend. And it was a Wednesday night at 8 p.m. I was sitting there, I was like, I can make this alumni tournament. It's the last one at my high school. And I was like, I'm just going to go. So at 8 p.m. Wednesday night, I booked a flight for 6 a.m. on Thursday and took off and made the tournament for the weekend.
You kind of felt like a pro there, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like, there's no basketball here. I'm going to go find basketball somewhere. So, you know what I mean?
Exactly. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So grade 11, did did you really learn, or between grade 10 and 11, did you really develop what you wanted to be, like a 3-point specialist or a shooter, sharpshooter?
Yeah, I think so. I've started to watch a lot of. It was probably weird at the time, I guess, but I watched a lot of like guys like Kyle Korver, and now like my favorite player in the NBA right now, Duncan Robinson. Like it's, you don't hear that a lot, right? But I was watching, you know, JJ Redick off ball movement and that kind of stuff, and to me, there's nothing better than, you know, just hitting a shot and just all mesh, right? I wasn't a great athlete. I can dunk now. Back then, I felt like I didn't have a hope in hell of dunking. So it was like, well, I can shoot the ball, I guess, and that's all I did. Just go to the gym every day and just shoot as much as possible, and then go watch guys, Kyle Korver, JJ Redick, those kind of guys, and how they're moving off ball and that kind of thing. Because like I said, wasn't a great athlete, but I was like, if I can just think the game better than people, I'll be successful.
Yeah, easily top 10 sounds in sports is just a switch.
Oh, just straight.
That's why they put the mic under the basket there. I just love it. It's up there with the crack of the bat or like a ding off the field goal post. But you know, one of my favorite memories is just watching basketball and just hearing that. So what's one of your favorite memories
from my career?
Yeah.
Ooh, I think some bad ones. One for sure was actually from that alumni tournament that weekend, because I'd never dunked, and I went and kind of developed my body for a couple of years, and then I came back after my coach actually. It was after the last game we won the tournament. And I was like, Coach, like, throw me a lob. So he goes and throw me a lob, and I dunked it. So to have my high school coach throw me a lob in the alumni tournament, the year like it's getting torn down that year, was kind of just like the big thing for me. And then another one would probably just be winning the zones tournament. My grade 12 year, we got bumped down like a division. Our school, they opened a new school in town, so they kind of split the population. So everyone was kind of playing under the same division. So it was a big, basically town rivalry, and went back and forth with this team all year. And we just came together in the zones final. We beat them by 20, and like they beat us by 20 that year. And so to win that game was pretty special.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So your grade 12 year, you went up and you put up 21 points per game. And is that when you started getting in college calls?
It started, grade 11, grade 12 is when it really started kind of develop. But it was tough as a kid from Grand Prairie, because like we're 4.5 hours kind of away from Edmonton, and that's kind of the big center, right? Edmonton, Calgary, we're 8 hours north of Calgary, 4.5 hours northwest of Edmonton. So people didn't really care that I was averaging 21 at that point. Like I emailed a lot of schools, and it was like, yeah, like you can come try out, or a lot of things, and I didn't get the attention you'd kind of think you would get averaging 21, but it was just some Grand Prairie kid. You didn't get the respect. Like if I showed up to Team Alberta tryouts, the same thing in high school, and it was just like, everyone's just like, oh, who's this kid, right? Yeah. The coaches know everybody else in there. It's like, oh, who's this kid? You had to have the tryout of your life to make that team, and you never did.
So you're saying it wasn't the numbers you were putting up; it's the competition that you put the numbers on that just didn't get that.
Exactly.
attention.
Yeah. So I had a couple coaches who would come watch me in like Red Deer and stuff, and they were interested, but it just felt like they almost hadn't seen enough of me, or they weren't sure to like take a risk on some kid from Grand Prairie. Whereas like, oh, the kid from Edmonton, like, of course, we've known him since he was 14 years old. Like, we've seen him develop. Like, let's go after that kid more than maybe the kid from Grand Prairie.
Yeah. So, how'd you land up at Grand Prairie Regional College?
Since I was, the Grand Prairie kid, I knew the coaches, and we were kind of back and forth. And I almost didn't get an offer at my hometown college, because I used to be kind of a hothead in high schoa. So he wasn't sure about my attitude. So I didn't get it till after that zones tournament, actually. I didn't get an offer. And I kind of felt like I was this 18-year-old kid, or probably even 17 at that point. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to leave. Like I was seriously looking to go to Red Deer College, but I was like, I don't know if I could like survive on my own at this point. I'm not like mature enough. So I was like, I can stay at home, mom's gonna do my laundry, cook my food, it's gonna be cheaper for rent. I was like, I think the safe option was for me just to stay at home where I was comfortable and kind of develop from there.
So your first year there, you were redshirted. So can you tell us about that experience and how it built your mental character a little bit? Yeah,
so that redshirt year, I think, beginning of the year, we had 20 or 21 guys on the roster. So there was like 6-7 of us that were redshirts. And we kind of got brushed aside that year a lot, because, the starters and the bench have to get their reps. So it was a lot like, you know, when we go 5-on-5, like red shirts were told to limit your reps, like you're kind of on the sideline. So it was such a test of character to be able to just show up to practice, but you weren't even really practicing a lot of the time. You were just there like a cheerleader. That was me. I was just clapping. I got really good at cheering. But yeah, like just it was a test of the character, and like a lot of people didn't pass that test. By the end of the year, I was the only red shirt left. It was me and one other guy that was recovering from an ACL injury, and everyone else had quit. And I just knew I loved basketball, and I knew that basketball kind of gave me that purpose of like it was why I was in school. Mm-hmm. So it was like, I'm gonna work at this every day, and I'm gonna try to make an impact the next year.
Yeah. So you put the work in. You had that teammate who had the ACL, and then you finally get in and you face knee surgery, miss 6 games.
Yeah. So the year after the redshirt year, I played first semester. I think I was averaging like 10 a game. I was second in the league in 3-pointers made. Like I was having a decent year, and then I started to get a little bit athletic. So I started to test my limits. You know, I was starting to dunk a little bit. I was like, okay. And it was actually on New Year's Eve. I was like, I'm gonna try a 360. I go up and I 360 and I land, and my leg just keeps turning, and I just felt the grind, and I was like, oh, like that's not good. So that was like the first time in my career where I was like, oh no, like I've seriously like injured myself. I was like, this is bad. So. Yeah, I ended up I got a third of my lateral meniscus removed. I missed the whole second semester. And then from there, it was like, I got to recover and try to play again the next year, it was tough. And that's when I really put on like a bunch of weight. I was probably like 180 pre-surgery, and then after I was probably like 205 for like 5 years.
All that progress, you get back into it, and then you face season-ending ankle injury.
Yeah, so I kind of, this is bad, but I kind of hate doctors.
How long were you out with the knee injury? In
total?
6 games?
It was 6, yeah, it was 6 games. I rehabbed it enough that the doctor said I could play, but I should have never played it.
Just like, not like games-wise, just like months. Was it like a 2-month injury?
So I injured it, it would have been December 31st, and then I wasn't cleared to play after surgery. This is where it gets weird. So I rehabbed it for 2 months, mm-hmm. and then they said I could play, but then I got it re-evaluated, and they're like, no, like you actually need surgery. So then all in all, I was out like 7 months. Okay. But I played in the middle for a small section where I blew my ankle up. Yeah.
So you blow your ankle up, you hate some doctors. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it was, with my knee, I think I went to 3 or 4 doctors by the end of it. I was like, listen, something's wrong. And then like the first doctor, we went to the hospital, and he's like, why are you on crutches? I'm like, well, my knees hurt, like I can't walk. And he's like, where'd you get the crutches? Me and my family are like, are you going to check his knee or just ask us about these crutches? You know what I mean? So he does the test, and he's like, yeah, it's just sprained. Give it a couple weeks, you're back. I'm like, okay. So I give it a couple weeks, and it's still like swollen. I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Let's go to the next doctor to see what he's got to say. No, it's just sprained. Like, keep rehabbing it. I was like, okay. And then it was finally, I went to him a couple times, and he's like, yeah, like, it's not getting better. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not. So I finally go to my family doctor, and I was like, man, like, and my mom's my biggest advocate, and we were both just like, you're going to get him an MRI. There's something wrong. He's like, we don't care what you say. You're going to book an MRI, and we're going to get checked. And then, yeah, the MRI comes back, like, oh yeah, his meniscus is like destroyed. And I'm just, and this shit, like, it was like folded and everything in there, and it was like wearing on the caps of my bones, and I was just like, why could, like, and I rehabbed and played on it. Yeah. I was like, I have permanent damage on the caps of my bones now from that folded in there rubbing from me playing.
That is the worst knee sprain ever.
Yeah, right. You know, right. Yeah, it's just sprained, and then it's like I do permanent damage. I just listened to my doc. I thought I could trust him, so I just. You know.
It's really hard to trust when you aren't, like, it's just like was it an emergency doctor type thing?
Yeah, the first one was, yeah.
I mean, usually you can trust them, but like it's just more comforting, like going to a family doctor. Yeah. I would say, and being around that person for a while. But the ankle injury, what happened in there, and how long did that sideline you do?
So I played 4 games when my knee was injured, and I was like the worst basketball player ever at that point. I was like, I think I probably scored 2 points in those 4 games. Like I was like, I couldn't even move.
Could your coach tell?
Yeah, I think everybody could tell, and it was kind of like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But then I come back to practice that next week, roll my ankle, and then I go to the doctor. I remember typing in broken ankle on the screen, and then he backspaces and types sprain, and I'm like, oh, here we go. So, right, like it's all
another sprain.
It's all in the same leg.
Yes.
So my left leg is just out of commission. I'm in a boot, and I need knee surgery, and I needed the knee surgery, so I don't remember how long the ankle took. It was quicker than the knee, of course, but it was kind of like, we just got to fix this whole left leg at this point.
Yeah, looking like Ben Roethlisberger with the ice
yeah.
bag and the
Yeah,
boot,
seriously.
like omelet on the crotch.
Yeah.
Everything's taped up.
It was awful.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
All right, so what other hardships did you face in that season there? On the court.
On the court, in that season there that I hurt my knee, we were ranked 14th in the country pre Christmas break there, and we just fell apart. Like, I got injured, a couple guys got hurt, a couple guys failed out. Felt like everything went wrong, and that was like, we were ranked 14th in the country, and our school never really got ranked, so we felt like, okay, this could be something. And then we just completely fell apart. We didn't even make the playoffs that year. Like, I think we went on like a 6 to 8 game like losing streak, and it was just like, what was once this goal, like, we could win a championship, it turned into like, oh, we can't even make playoffs.
Just eyes got a little wide, and
Yeah, like, I think we played one of our last games of the year, we had 7 or 8 guys total on the team. It was just like, it was rough.
Short bodies. So you did your 2 years there for kinesiology, and then you packed up and you drove across, right?
Yeah, well, I actually played 1 year after on my knee.
Okay.
After I got it rehabbed, I played there 1 year, and I was okay, but I was heavy, I was slow, and I hadn't really played basketball for 7 months. There was only so much you could do, and yeah, that year it was an okay year, and then I decided like I needed to transfer schools to finish my degree.
Mm-hmm. So you pack up, you drive cross country, and you end up in little PEI here.
Yeah.
And what was it like your first month on the island in training camp? Because you originally were trying out for UPEI. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So when I looked at a few schools, and I was with my girlfriend at the time, and she was coming to PEI. She had family here and stuff, and I was like, okay, like, UPEI's got my degree. I was like, at the time they were a lower team in U Sports, and I was like, I knew I couldn't go. I'm not gonna go play at Carleton. I was like, I don't think that's good, feasible. So I was like, I think I can make this roster. So I contact the coach, and he's like, yeah, like, we'll give you a shot. He's like, nothing's guaranteed. So I roll up. I think it was in like August. We drive across the country 4 or 5 days. Get here in August, and then it was straight. We trained as a team, and guys slowly started to filter in, and then it was into training camp, and UPEI's training camp is no joke. Like, it was for real. We were going 3-4 times every day, and I passed. Like, I was still heavier at the time, but I passed every fitness test the coach threw at me. Every skill challenge, whatever. And there was different tests. I passed all of them, and I felt like I belonged on the team. I didn't think I was gonna start. I didn't think I would even play much, but I was like, I'm part of this team. We had a running tally through training camps, like drills one and this kind of thing, and I think there was like 18 or 19 of us, and I was like 9th or 10th. I was right in the middle. Yeah. It was like, I belong on this team. Am I the star? Absolutely not. But I belong here. But I don't know. I guess he had other options, other choices.
So yeah, tell us about that. What happened? Because what I saw was you were promised a role on the team. You were going to redshirt another year there.
Yep.
And then you were going to play a role the following year. But something happened in October that you parted ways with UPEI.
Yeah, I to this day I don't know what happened. Like, honestly, it seemed so sudden. Like, it just felt like it hit a point where he was kind of trying to make me quit the team. It was like, I come in one day and it was like, yeah, like, you got to give your team locker to somebody else. And I was like, okay. So, like, I'm changing in the shower every day, like on the bench in the shower. But I'm like, this is fine. Like, I'm here to, he said I can redshirt. I'm going to work, and because I've been here before. That's what I did my first year. I redshirted, came in the next year, made an impact. So I was like, I was at the gym every day, 6 a.m. I was doing extra stuff in the weight room after, all that. And he seen me there working, and yeah, it was just weird stuff. And then I actually hurt my ankle again at UPEI. And I'll never forget this. He stops me in the hallways, and he goes like, maybe it's a good thing you hurt your ankle. And I was like, oh, he's like, just think about all the time you can spend in the weight room. But I was like, like, I'm here to play basketball. Like, I want to play basketball. Like, yeah, it sucks my ankle's hurt. Like, I don't know why it's a good thing. Right? So, and then when I came back, he again, it was like we'd go 5-on-5, and he's like, "No, like you guys sit out. Like you gotta go on the side and just do push-ups." I did it. Like everything he ever asked me, I did it. I'm on the side doing push-ups. They're playing 5-on-5. I'm just repping push-ups on the side, sit-ups. Everything he asked me, and then middle of October, everyone else is having just like check-in meetings. How's school going? Yeah, how's this going? Okay, cool. So I asked those guys, okay, yeah, that's what we're having. Okay. So that's what I expect. So I walk in, I sit down, and he's just like, "Yeah, I think you and the program got to part ways." And I was like, I didn't formulate any words. It was just him talking to me the whole time. I think my mouth was probably open. I was just staring at him. He's like, "Yeah, you never did anything wrong. You did everything I asked, but I think it's best if we like part ways." And I was just, I walked out crying, and like my teammates were there. Like, "Oh, what happened?" I was like, "I just got cut from the team." And it was just
in a regular checkup meeting.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming, and I was just, it blew my mind. Middle of October, so I'm 5,000 kilometers away from home. My tuition's all paid. I can't get money back. It's like basketball was everything to me. What do I do now?
So what did you do?
So one of the coaches at Holland, he was the women's coach at the time. He actually coached at my school back home in Grand Prairie, and came back to PEI. So I got in touch with him, and I was like, "Hey, listen, like things didn't work out with UPEI. Could you put me in touch with the Holland coach?" So he did that, and by a day or two later, I was already looking to come to Holland, that kind of thing. And the kind of nice thing for me was Holland played UPEI that next week. So I was sitting behind the Holland bench, and we beat UPEI by 20, knowing that I was going to join Holland for the second semester. And it was a sweet moment for me.
I got the last laugh.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
You talked to the coach after that game at all?
No, I didn't talk to him much at all, really. Like, it's been weird, the kind of relationship.
Yeah, respectably so.
Yeah.
So you land up at Holland College, life seems pretty good now, I'd say, or I'd want to stay best team in the Atlantics.
Yeah, I think, like, life was good that I was at Holland. Yeah, one of the best teams in the Atlantic for sure, but I was still, I think, searching for a reason why I got cut from UPEI. Because he just said you did everything right. And I was kind of just like, if I'm fat and out of shape, if I'm not good enough, tell me that.
Give me a reason.
Right. He knew me for 3 months. You should have a reason for me. He gave me nothing. So when I came into Holland, it was kind of a lot of, let's play it safe. Like, I'm not going to take a risk. Like, maybe we'll pass up that open shot. I don't want to make myself look bad because I don't want to get cut again. I'm just going to be safe. I'm just going to pretend I don't exist and do whatever he asks and just go, about my life.
Yeah. So you're playing for a pretty good coach now.
Yeah.
How's his coaching style compared to what you're used to?
He's pretty blunt. He's hilarious. I love Josh. But yeah, he'll just tell you how it is. Like, if you're being an idiot, he'll just look at you and just tell you you're being an idiot. Like, he doesn't hold back at all. Like, I think that's the thing that kind of makes him, I guess, great, is like some coaches will try to sugarcoat it or that kind of thing, and he's just straight up with you. And with the teams he's had over the past, I can't remember how long he's coached here, 8-9 years. Like, he's probably one of the best recruiters in the country. Because I don't know where he's finding these guys. I don't know, but like year after year, they're one of the best teams. He's finding good players somewhere.
And it looks like he gives you a little freedom in your training regimen too. Is he pretty strict on that, or? No,
like, we're pretty free to do whatever. I was surprised. Like, we don't do a lot of the extra stuff. So back at home, we do like scouting, and we'd have study hall and this kind of stuff. At Holland, we pretty much just show up and we practice. We go hard for an hour and a half, and then we go home. And there's no real extra stuff.
You guys don't watch a lot of film or anything like
it's
that?
kind of up to the guys to do it alone. Like, coach will watch it and he'll bring stuff up about it. But I think it's like, if you don't want to be there watching it, then like that's kind of on you at that point. You won't play.
Yeah. So 8-0 right now, heating up. Who's your biggest competition this year?
I'd say probably Crandall or Stew would be the two teams that are the biggest competition. Mount St. Vincent gave us a run in their home, but for whatever reason we've struggled to play there. Like 2 years ago, we lost in the semifinals there. And again, we should have never lost, and we played them out at home to start the season. We handled them pretty easily, but I'd probably, Crandall gave us a tough go in their home. We didn't play very well there at all, but Stu, I'd say I'd probably put Stu at the top because they gave us a tough run at our house.
Yeah, St. Thomas is tied with Crandall for a second. Right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
5-2, I'm pretty sure, or something like that. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
But so again, going back just a little bit, you guys did get announced that you're going back to play, which is very exciting. But they're cutting the season a little bit short and making it 12 games. So you have 4 games left to go perfect 12-0 in the year. What do you guys have to do in order to achieve that?
I think it's a lot of like pick up where we left off. I guess like we closed the last semester off on a pretty high note. We beat Kings by it was like 50 or 60. Like we put up 120 points in a game, which is pretty unreal for a college game. So I think that game, like we were all just playing loose. We were playing free. We trusted the offense. We trusted each other more than anything. And I think that's what led to our success. So if we can find that again, put the trust in each other, even though we've been apart for pretty much 2 months at this point, if we can trust each other that we're going to make the right decision and trust coaches' like game plan, I think we'll be fine. We should close it out.
You mentioned that you guys started practice back up. Did that feel like normal, or did it feel a little bit rusty for you guys? Or?
It definitely felt a little rusty in the first couple of days. There was a lot of like guy dribbles and maybe hits it off his foot. What the heck just happened, you know? But after the first couple of days, it was like, okay, no, we know how to do this. Yeah. Because they closed the gyms completely, so it wasn't like we were in there working our games alone. It was like not like you can't touch a basketball.
Yeah. So definitely a little rusty, and you lost 2 to a cold too, which is I want to say a big asset for you guys.
Yeah, I mean he was our biggest body for sure. So it's tough to lose a guy like that at the semester break. But I think we've got guys that can step up. I think that's a big thing with this year is we're really deep as well. Like we've got 8, 9, 10 guys that can all really play. Yeah. So I think it's going to just come on to a few guys that just have to step up, and even some our starters and guys that have already playing big roles. We're just going to have to pretty much rebound a lot more, right? It's a big body. It's a big hole out there. But
who do you think can fill those shoes? I
think it'll come down. I think we'll spread it evenly quite a bit. I think Neil can step up and provide a lot more off the bench. He's a big body as well. He'll bring a lot rebounding. But I think it'll just come down to a lot like a team effort of rebounding. So everyone's got to block out, and then who's ever there is just gonna go grab it. I think.
Yeah. Jashawn Downey, he's probably one of your best offensive components.
Yeah.
So is he working on his defense at all, or is he just focusing on what he does best?
He's actually not back yet. He just drove back in from Halifax this morning, so he's got to isolate. But I know one guy told him to step up and start rebounding a little more and help out on the glass. So I think like he's a smart player, and he's a really good player, as you said, like offensively. So I think he'll step up for sure and contribute.
For sure.
So your future plans? You're graduating. Is it this year from Holland with kinesiology again?
Yep.
And then what would you like to do going forward?
Going forward, I'm actually going to come back for my 5th year. Figure may as well, like you're young once, you may as well play all 5 years. I'm going to take photo video at Holland, and then I think maybe try to take my career that direction instead of the kin. I think as I've kind of grown up, I've started to like that stuff a little more.
Would you want to stay in sports?
I think so. I think to some extent.
Become like a sports photographer.
Yeah, I think something like that would be really fun to do, but I mean, plans have changed so much in my life that I kind of don't plan my life too far ahead at this point. I just kind of we'll just kind of go with the flow. And see.
You're a bit of an outdoorsman too, You're big on fishing, actually.
Yeah, I fished a lot back home in the mountains, and I think wildlife photography would be a cool direction as well. Yeah, if I'm going out and walking in the mountains, wading up rivers and stuff, have the camera with me because you never know what you're going to stumble upon at that point.
And a little bit of a chef too.
Oh,
I saw that coconut cream pie.
Yes, this guy did his research. Yeah, no, absolutely. I just feel like a lot of people just say they can't cook, and they just leave it at that. But I'm like, well, especially as an athlete, I'm like, I want to fuel my body with the best stuff. I mean, obviously pie is not the best stuff, but when I go home, I'm like, I'm gonna put effort into every meal I make because I love myself. Why would I not make good food? People are just like, I'll just microwave this or whatever. But I'm like, I'm gonna make a good meal because I love myself.
So what's the best meal you take credit for in terms of making yourself?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Or do you have a favorite style to cook?
I do a lot of like Mexican stuff, like burrito bowls and like tacos and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Like best meal, I don't know. Like that cream pie was good. Like it turned out really well for like me. Just like I think I was just like, okay, well the gyms are closed now. What am I gonna do? Let's make a pie. Let's swing it, see what happens. And it turned out well. Like, it tasted good. So I was like, all right, like.
All right. So pro tips for our viewers at home: best recipe for whipped cream. Any pro tips?
Oh, I did home make it. I just went and bought the whipped cream. What did I put in it? I think there was sugar. But I mean, have a KitchenAid thing.
A KitchenAid?
Because I hand did it. I was sitting on the couch just
big forearms.
Whipping
Big forearms.
it. Yeah, I was like, I'm getting tired.
Those
sure.
KitchenAids come in handy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
For sure, man. Well, you know, obviously you just beat UKC 123-68.
Yeah.
That's hot for you. Going into the end of the season, we wish you luck.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Congrats, dude. And if you're listening on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.